Hey guys, today I'm going to be reacting to a video called 15 American Tourist Habits That Makes Europeans Cringe. Don't be that guy. So yes, obviously no one wants to be that guy when you are in a new country, in a new place, that everyone just sort of like goes, oh my god, like why is this person like acting this way? So let's check it out.
2 Californian girls arrested for carving their initials on a Coliseum wall and taking a selfie.
American tourist fined after parking Ferrari in the middle of famous Florence Plaza.
That's
American
so weird.
tourists caught pushing scooters down the Spanish Steps.
Can you believe it? And that's
No.
just scratching the
I can't
surface.
believe the
Today
entitlement
we're
of people.
counting down the top 15 of most infuriating habits of American tourists that make Europeans shake their heads in disbelief. Plus, I'll share some tips on how to avoid being that tourist. Hold on to your seats. This will be one wild, shocking, and oh so entertaining ride. Ready? Let's go. Let's start with habit number 1. Walking, talking,
Oh,
loud
too
speaking.
loud.
Picture this. You're in a peaceful Parisian cafe, enjoying a quiet afternoon when suddenly, boom,
Oh my god, you guys, this croissant is amazing.
echoes across the room. Yep, that's us Americans, turning the volume up to 11 everywhere we go. It's not just excitement, it's a habit we can't shake. Locals find this as charming as a foghorn at a yoga
Oh my
retreat.
god, yeah.
Disruptive
that's true.
and, frankly, annoying. Now picture a gondola ride in Venice, gently gliding along, then
Guys, this bridge is so bridgy. It's like the bridgiest bridge ever.
Like,
my
shut
tip,
up.
tone it down. Match the local vibe and speak softly. It shows
It's true.
respect and helps you blend in. Save the enthusiasm for moments that truly call for it, like cheering at a football match or spotting a double
Maybe
rainbow.
a croissant,
In Europe,
it's so good
less
that
is
you have
more
to
when it
be
comes to
out.
volume. Habit number 2, the everyone speaks American myth. Imagine an American tourist in a charming little Italian village, speaking rapid-fire English with phrases like,
Yo, can you hook us up with the dopest coffee spot around?
the locals
Okay,
look
please, do
confused,
not
like
do
they're
that.
trying to solve a riddle. We often assume everyone speaks English and gets our slang. It's like asking a cat to fetch. This can seem arrogant, and frankly,
It's
a bit
arrogant,
lazy.
yeah.
So here's the deal. A simple
Excuse me, do you speak English?
works wonders. Usually people
Exactly.
respond with,
I speak a little English. How can I help?
and then proceed to speak better English than you. Learning a few basic phrases in the local language, like ciao or grazie, can open doors and hearts. It shows respect and effort, and trust me, locals
Yeah.
appreciate it. Plus, it's kind of fun to play linguistic charades. Who knew ordering coffee could be an adventure? Now, there's an
would be-
exception.
yeah.
At super busy tourist spots or restaurants, skip the Google Translate performance. The staff often speaks English, and they're in a rush, wanting
Oh,
to work
yeah.
efficiently. Save the linguistic gymnastics
just
for
go
quieter
and go
moments.
to straight to
Habit
English.
number 3, tipping incorrectly. We're used to tipping
Oh my God,
big
why?
back home, 20% or more for any service, even for Uber drivers. But in Europe, tipping customs are a whole different ballgame. Some countries find our generous tips extravagant, while others
it's
might think we're being
extravagant.
stingy. So what's the
They're
scoop?
stingy.
Learn the
Oh my
local
God.
tipping customs. In many European countries, service is already included, and a small tip or rounding up the bill is appreciated. For instance, in Spain, you might leave just a euro or two, while in Germany, rounding up to the nearest euro is common. And in Scandinavian
Okay.
countries like Sweden, tipping is generally not practiced at all. Workers there
At
receive
all?
fair wages, and tipping could actually weaken their salary position. No one wants to hear that they make it up in tips. Do a
Oh
little
my
research
God.
or ask a local. It shows respect. When in doubt,
I had
remember,
never thought of
subtlety
this.
is key in Europe. Oh, and speaking of tipping, what's the custom in your country? Do you leave a little extra or just a high five? Share your tipping tales in the comments below. Habit number 4, complaining about local differences. We love our creature comforts and familiarity.
complaining?
Traveling means embracing the new and different.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of us just can't help but gripe when things don't match our expectations
highlight the
or aren't like
differences.
they are back home. It's like this.
Good.
Why is this hotel room so tiny? Back home, we'd have a walk-in
Yeah, your room is
closet and
tiny.
AC that could freeze a penguin.
Making negative comparisons about local customs, services, or infrastructure
Incredibly
can come
annoying.
off as rude and ungrateful. So here's the lowdown. When you're abroad, expect things to be different. That's
Of
the whole
course.
point of travel.
Yes, you're in
Embrace
a
the
different
quirks,
country.
like the charmingly compact hotel rooms in Paris, the leisurely service in Italy, or the beautifully ancient and sometimes temperamental public transport in Greece. It shows respect and
Temperamental?
makes
In
your
what
travel
way?
experience richer. Next time you're tempted to complain, take a breath, enjoy the adventure, and maybe laugh about it later.
Yeah, that's what
After
you're
all, isn't that
traveling.
what travel stories are made of? Habit number 5, risky behavior for photos. Be honest, who doesn't
For a
love a good
selfie.
photo op? But sometimes we take it to dangerous extremes, standing
do
in
not
the
do
middle
that.
of busy streets, dangling off ledges, or hopping fences just to get the perfect shot for Instagram. Spoiler alert, a lot can go wrong. It's not just
course.
risky, but it can also be annoying on small viewing platforms. Innocent bystanders getting thwacked with selfie sticks. Nobody deserves that. And there's a reason for those
Yeah.
bans on selfie sticks.
Oh, they're
Milan
banned.
banned them in 2017 to crack down on antisocial behavior. They're also banned in all Disney
Antisocial
parks.
behavior.
Amsterdam's Van Gogh Museum, the Sistine Chapel, Garoupe Beach in France, and the Colosseum in Rome. Even more concerning, a study published in the Journal of Travel Medicine uncovered 379
Oh my God, that's
selfie-related
higher than I would have
deaths
thought.
over the previous 13 years. So what's the
crazy.
lowdown? Your safety is more important than a few extra likes. Enjoy the
Yes.
moment, take safe photos, and remember that no picture is worth risking your life. Plus, respecting local
Absolutely.
rules and customs shows you're a considerate traveler. Next
And
time
people
you're
that will
tempted to
like
risk
you.
it all, think twice and choose a safer spot. Your followers will still love your pics, and you'll be around to take many more. All right, let's play a game. Picture this. You're strolling through the narrow streets of Venice, admiring the canals. Suddenly, an American tourist appears, struggling with a mountain of suitcases, blocking the sidewalk. You hear a thud as a wheeled suitcase gets stuck. Any guesses on the
Okay.
habit? Here's a hint. Do I really need 6 pairs of shoes for a weekend trip?
Oh,
If you
it's
guessed
luggage.
overpacking. You're right. We'd love to be prepared, but hauling huge amounts of
Overpacking.
luggage can be a real hassle. Overpacking slows you down and makes you that person blocking the entire sidewalk or
Well,
struggling
but-
to fit into an elevator. So what's the deal? Pack light and smart. Think versatile outfits, essentials only. Remember, you can always do a little laundry on the road. Plus, lighter luggage means more room for souvenirs. Next time you're tempted to bring everything but
Sort
the
of,
kitchen
but I
sink,
think some
rethink and
Europeans are
repack.
guilty of this
Your back
as
will
well.
thank you, and you'll move around with ease, ready to enjoy your adventure.
Sorry to interrupt, but before we dive into the next embarrassing habit, here's a quick tip from me. If you're vibing with these travel hacks, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell for more awesome advice.
And now, time for the next round. Imagine this. You're in a cozy Spanish cafe, enjoying the quiet. Suddenly, you hear an American tourist loudly exclaim,
What? This tiny portion costs how much? Back home, I'd get a plate twice the size for
Again,
half the price.
complaining.
Sound familiar? Any guesses on the habit? Here's a hint. It's all about comparing food portions and prices to American standards.
Do
If you
not.
guessed complaining about portions or prices, you're right. We Americans are used to big servings and lower prices. But
That's just-
constantly
yeah.
comparing and complaining can come
That's
off
on you
as
guys.
disrespectful to local customs
Yeah.
and economic conditions. So, what to do? Embrace the local dining experience. Smaller portions often mean higher quality, and prices reflect local economies. Enjoy the flavors and savor the moment, instead of comparing it to back home. Habit
Yeah.
number 8, lumping all of Europe together.
Oh, that's
you know the type
bad.
saying, I've been to Europe, after a quick tour of
Yeah,
Paris,
like where?
London, or Rome. You wouldn't say you've done America after visiting New York. So why do the same with
I've
Europe?
done America.
Europe isn't a monolith. It's a patchwork of different languages, histories, and traditions. So, how to fix this? Appreciate the uniqueness of
Say
each
the country.
Dive into the local cultures, learn a few phrases in the language, and explore beyond the tourist hotspots. Recognize that each European country has its own
It's
identity
different,
and
yes.
charm. Next time you're bragging about your European adventure, remember to give credit to the individual countries and their rich, diverse
Yeah, don't
cultures.
just say
It shows
Europe.
respect and makes your travel stories even more interesting. Habit number 9, disrespecting monuments and
Oh my
cultural
God.
sites. We've all
You
seen
should
it.
go to jail
Tourists
for this.
behaving badly at historical landmarks, treating them like their personal playgrounds. It's like hosting a rave in a library. Not cool, folks. Remember those 2
Jail.
Californian girls who were arrested for carving their initials on a Colosseum wall? Or the American tourist who parked his Ferrari in the middle of a famous Florence plaza? These aren't just cringeworthy. They're downright disrespectful.
They're
So, how to
illegal.
handle it? Show some respect. When visiting these sites, take a moment to understand the significance of where you are. Read the plaques, listen
Yes,
to the
it's-
guides,
it's an
and absorb the
historical
history. It's about
place.
honoring the memory and importance of these places. Next time you're at a historical or cultural site, remember to treat it with the respect it deserves. You'll gain a deeper appreciation for the history and culture,
Yeah, what would
and
you
you'll
go
set a good
there?
example for other travelers. Habit number 10, dressing inappropriately. This is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Okay,
Americans
what
are
way?
practical and love to dress casually. We don't wear nice clothes every day. It's all about comfort.
Like
but
they
sometimes
are
our idea of
just- yeah,
casual
or their
just
sneakers
doesn't
all the
cut it
time.
abroad. I get the travel vests with all those pockets are handy.
What
but
is
it
that?
screams tourist the moment you step off the plane. Lucy, my French friend, always says, European fashion is more about how things fit rather than emphasizing brand names. A friend of mine recently visited Paris for the first time. She usually rocks dresses and heels, but found that in Paris, it made her stick out like a sore thumb. So what's the fix? Do a Do a little research before you pack. Understand the local dress codes and pack accordingly. When visiting churches, cover those shoulders and knees. When dining in fancy restaurants, step it up a notch. Think more dinner party and less beach party. Next time you're planning your outfit, remember to dress respectfully. It shows you appreciate and respect the local culture, and you'll blend in much better, making your experience
would you
all
wanna
the
blend
more
in?
enjoyable. Habit number 11, small talk. I know, we love to chat, but in many parts of Europe, striking up a conversation with a stranger is like trying to start a dance party in a library. Awkward and unwelcome. Take France, for example. In Paris, small talk is a regional no-no. If you start chatting with a stranger, they'll probably ignore you unless you're asking for directions.
Oh my
In
God,
Scandinavian
no way.
countries like Denmark or Sweden, you must be crazy if you are talking to strangers. Germany, occasionally some old folks might start a conversation at a bus stop, but that's about it. In Poland, small talk is rare and unusual. Hello is about as talkative as it gets on a good
Oh my
day.
God.
On the flip side, small talk is more common in Southern Europe, but generally Europeans are more reserved and value their personal space. So what's the takeaway? Read the room. Gauge the vibe before launching into a friendly chat. If people seem open,
do not do
go
small
for it.
talk.
If not, respect their space and enjoy the silence. Your consideration will be appreciated, and you'll blend in much better with the local culture. Next
what
time
if
you're
you wanna
tempted to
talk to
share your life
someone?
story with a stranger, remember to keep it short and sweet.
don't go
A little
that far.
cultural awareness goes a long way. And hey, how is it in your country? Do you love a good chat or prefer to keep to yourself? Share your small talk stories in the comments below. Habit number 12, overemphasizing ancestral heritage.
Oh,
We
that's
obviously
so
love to
incredibly
celebrate our roots,
annoying.
but sometimes we can take it a bit too far. Claiming to be 100% Greek
I'm
or Irish
Polish.
because your great-great-grandparents
No.
were from there might not be as
You're
well
from the
received by
United
the
States.
locals. Imagine visiting Ireland and proudly declaring, I'm 100% Irish, only for the locals to smile politely while thinking, sure, but you sound more like you're from Boston. Or telling
Yeah.
someone in Italy about your authentic Italian heritage while mispronouncing bruschetta. So how to handle it? Embrace your heritage, but don't overdo it. Show genuine interest in the local culture without making it all about your ancestral connections. Share your excitement, but remember, you're a guest exploring their home, not a long-lost native.
Exactly.
Next time
It's
you're
not
tempted
your-
to
it's not your
overemphasize
land.
your roots, keep it cool and respectful. Appreciate the culture around you, and locals will appreciate your genuine curiosity and humility. Habit number 13, impatience. We love our fast service and immediate
customer
responses.
service.
But in Europe, things tend to move at a more relaxed pace, especially in restaurants and shops.
Yeah.
Here's a scene for you. You are sitting in a cafe in Portugal, waiting for your coffee, and you start tapping your foot impatiently. Or you're in an Italian restaurant, frustrated because your meal isn't out within 10 minutes. This kind of
No.
impatience can come across as rude and disrespectful of the local pace of life. So how do we deal with it? Embrace the slower pace. Take
Yes,
this time to
there's
enjoy your
nothing you can
surroundings,
do.
have a conversation, and savor the moment. Remember, good things take time, and part of the charm of Europe is its relaxed way of life. Next time you find yourself getting frustrated with slower service, take a deep breath and remind yourself that
You're
you're
on vacation, yes.
Enjoy the leisurely pace, and you'll find yourself having a much richer experience. Habit number 14, talking about money. We're pretty open about discussing personal finances, salaries,
In
and the
what way?
cost of things.
What would you want
But
to
in
know
many
this?
parts of Europe, this can be seen as vulgar and inappropriate.
Of course.
Imagine this. You're having a conversation with someone you've just met in Italy and casually mention how much you make or how expensive your new gadget was. The room
No.
goes silent and you get some awkward glances. Talking
Yes.
openly about money, especially
Quite
if you earn a
deserved.
lot, can make Europeans uncomfortable and come across as bragging or insensitive. In Austria, discussing salaries is fairly taboo. There's this unspoken rule of not telling others to avoid making them uncomfortable if you earn more. Similarly,
Oh,
in
of
the
course
Czech
you're gonna be-
Republic,
yeah.
salaries are considered a private issue and shouldn't be discussed. It may seem odd since, back home, we often think sharing salary info helps everyone except the employer. But here
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
different. So what should you do instead? Keep money matters private. Instead of discussing your finances, focus on the experience, the culture,
Yeah,
and the people you're
who
with.
would you
Ask
wanna
about
know
local
that?
customs, share stories, and enjoy the moment without bringing up your bank account. Quick break before number 1. If you're digging these travel hacks, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Stay tuned for the best tip yet. Habit number 15, political discussions and blame. America.
Oh, do not,
Who
yes.
doesn't love a good political debate? But diving into politics abroad can be a minefield.
absolutely, you
Engaging
don't
in
live
political
there.
discussions where locals might criticize or blame you for your country's policies can quickly turn uncomfortable. So,
Yeah.
and what's the best approach? Steer
Do
clear
not.
of political discussions. If the topic
Yes.
comes up, listen politely, but avoid getting drawn into debates. Focus on common interests and lighter topics that build
Again, you're on
connections rather
vacation.
than divisions. Next time you're tempted to engage in a political discussion, remember that some conversations are best left for back home. Keep things friendly and respectful, and you'll have a much more enjoyable experience. So there you have it, 15 habits that can make American tourists stand out in all the wrong ways when traveling in Europe. I think the main takeaway is that when you go on holiday to another
Be
country,
respectful.
you are a guest in someone else's home. Behave like one. It's sad that adults actually have to be told this.
Absolutely. Yes. It's kind of sad. I agree because it's like you're a grown adult. Like you should know this. Like you should know this by now that how to act appropriately like a human being. Like I don't think that you should like people should tell you like, hey, like do not act rude, do not act entitled, do not try to make other people feel uncomfortable. And it's such a shame that like you need to tell adults that. It is quite sad. I think it's like the downfall of society or something. But yes, I like almost all these tips. I absolutely agree, I think, with practically all of them. I do have to say about the packing and the clothes and what people are wearing. I think it depends because again, some people I think with the overpacking, I don't think it's just an American thing. I think some people, some Europeans as well, like it just depends on the person. Some people are just like, oh no, I can't. I have to overpack. It's just a habit some people have. I do have to say, obviously, you have to be aware of like what you're doing, like what's your schedule like, and where you're traveling. Because sometimes if you're like backpacking through Europe, of course you're not gonna be like, oh, I have like 15 suitcases with me, because no, I mean you're backpacking. It means obviously everything should fit like in one or two bags, because that's gotta be the point. But if you are maybe taking a more leisurely vacation and maybe you're just staying in one specific country, you're not going on a whole tour, maybe you're just like going, or maybe you're just like visiting a few countries, like maybe you're going to, I don't know, Germany and Switzerland, some like nearby countries. Maybe like it is more, I don't know, acceptable to like oh well, I'm gonna bring, I don't know, two three suitcases, I don't know, very depending, I don't know what kind of things like people what goes through everyone's minds. But I think maybe it's a little bit more common if that's the case, and it's gonna be annoying. I don't know, because if you're just going for, you're going to the airport, to your hotel or your Airbnb or your whatever it is that you're staying at, like it's just like, well, the taxi and that's it. Of course, like if you're taking the bus, I can see why it's going to be annoying for people, like the other people on the bus is like, oh my god, why does this person have like 3 million suitcases? But I get it, could maybe seen as a little bit annoying, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it just depends. What if you're well, no, because I was like, well, maybe if you're staying like for a longer period of time, maybe you're staying for like 2 months. But it's like, well, you would do laundry, right? So maybe that's not the right case. But I don't know, some people just like bringing a lot of luggage, and I don't think that's necessarily an American thing. I think it just depends. Some people, it's just because some people have that habit. Although I do have to say, that even if you're in a place that I get, like I think like Venice, or maybe I don't know, I was gonna say Cannes, but not really. Maybe some places I think in Italy have them, or maybe I don't know, like Santorini, some places like that. When like where the thing is like they're cobblestones, they're like very little like smaller towns. I can say like do not bring like roll-on suitcases, because it's so incredibly annoying. They're gonna get into all the cobblestones and you're not gonna be. It's like the most annoying thing in the planet. So I think maybe that's something, and that I think only once you've been through like that situation, I think, or unless someone tells you, you're not going to be thinking of that unless, again, someone tells you, or you unfortunately have to go through that and you're like, oh my god, I'm never bringing like a roll-on suitcase on this sort of like street again, which, is incredibly fair. I think it happens. More people should warn you if you're going to like those little towns, that the streets are cobblestone streets, so do not bring roll-on suitcases, and that's why you should pack light. But again, those are, I think, very specific towns in some places in Europe that have it. So it is, and again, it only if you're like, oh, I'm staying here for like a week and then I'm going to another place, because otherwise, like why would you bring like that many suitcases? Like you're just gonna bring them in because I'm staying here from the airport and this is where I'm staying, and then once I'm out, like I'm not gonna be in the habit of like carrying a bunch of suitcases, because again, that's my idea and I'm gonna do a whole European tour, you're not gonna be bringing like 5 suitcases, because it's more like a backpacking situation. So you want to pack light. Again, just be mindful of what you're doing, where you're going, and the whole what's the trip like. Like again, you should always keep that in mind. And of course, and also the clothes, like I get what he means, like being, maybe it's like, oh, it's about the American tourist. He's like, yes, I mean, whatever, like it happens. It's like, I don't think if you mind, like I don't think what I agree when I'm going with this is like, I don't know if I agree that much with the whole like, oh, you need to blend in. why would you want to blend in? Like, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm from this place, I'm Austrian. It's like, no, of course you're not. You're a tourist. Like, why would you want to blend in? I do agree that you shouldn't stand out in a bad way. Like, that's gonna be annoying because, again, if like they said you're speaking very loudly, you're complaining, you're being annoying, like people are obviously gonna be like, oh, there goes the tourist. But otherwise, like it's whatever. If you're gonna be walking down the street, oh, people are gonna identify you as a tourist, and like, who cares? I think some people are very like, oh, I have to blend in. Why would you want to blend in? It's quite obvious that you're a tourist. Like, it doesn't matter how you're dressed, because the minute that you start speaking, you open your mouth, people are gonna know, like, you're not from here. So I don't know. I'm like, who cares if you're not blending in? People are gonna be like, oh, there's a tourist. It's like, well, yeah, I am a tourist, so who cares? I don't know. I'm a little bit like, whatever. But I do think you have to obviously be respectful of certain dress codes. Like, if you're at a certain, like, at a restaurant, and obviously you're not gonna go with, like, leggings and maybe a sweatshirt unless it's like a very casual place. If you're going out to dinner, please, like, put some effort in your outfit. Like, of course I agree with that. And maybe, don't just like wear sneakers all the time or flip-flops, or I don't know, because again, it's like a dinner in a like a fancier place. Obviously be mindful of where you're going. But it's more like, I don't know, it's like, again, be more mindful and do your own little research about like the certain dress codes. Not necessarily because you want to blend in, but just because certain places have certain dress codes. And like he said, like the church, he's like, oh yeah, it's true. I think some churches don't really allow you to like show a lot of like cleavage maybe, or maybe some legs. So maybe you have to like wear pants. I don't know, like certain things, you should definitely do your research before going to like historical sites, because I'm not sure, but I think maybe not just churches, but I think some historical sites do have a little bit of that, or maybe some government, I don't know, like, so certain places maybe have it, I don't know. So you should maybe like do your research and be like, hey, can I wear whatever? I don't know, like, do your research, which I think is great. And it's a great piece of advice for just, not just when it comes to clothes, just in general for all the things, like, especially like they said, like for tipping, for instance. I didn't know that in Sweden, like, it would be inappropriate to actually be like, hey, I'm leaving some tip. It's like, no, it's bad. It's super frowned upon. It's not just like seen as weird, because I do know that some places in Europe see it as a little bit weird if you're leaving like a tip on the table. But I didn't know that it was downright like rude to do that. Like, do not do that. They can lose their jobs. It's like, oh my God, okay. Like, but it's important. Again, do your research and ask, hey, like, what are the customs here? Is it important? It's very important, obviously, once you're visiting, you're a guest, like they say. It's like you're a guest in someone's house, and obviously you should ask before doing things, because you don't want to come across as, rude, entitled, or you want to be invited back. You don't want to be like unlikable. You want people to like you, ideally. So I think those are great pieces of advice. And yes, and of course, again, do not complain, do not speak very loudly. Again, it's like, just as you wouldn't go like to someone's house and complain about the food, like ideally you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't say like, oh, like this portion, oh wow, like quite small, I'm gonna be hungry. Like, you wouldn't do that if someone invites you to their house for dinner. So why would you do that in a restaurant in another country? Like, do not complain about the portions or the prices, and obviously do not speak about politics, because I think politics are a very touchy subject, and people, it's why would you do that? Like, why would you do that to yourself? I know that it can be like interesting to debate certain topics, but again, with politics, especially if you're going on vacation and if you're speaking with people that actually like live there, of course they're gonna be like, do not try to like talk to me about my country, like, because you think, oh, I've read an article. It's like, no, the people that live there are obviously gonna be more informed than you are. So it is like, do not even go there. It's just like, listen, be mindful, be respectful. Maybe if you're curious, then maybe, yes, of course, ask them. But do not try to spark like political debate, or whether if you, oh, I don't really agree with this, but do not be like, oh, because it's like, no, you're not gonna make anyone change. You're not gonna make them change their mind. They're not gonna make you change your mind. So it is a whole, like, it's interesting, because again, it opens yourself to new experiences and new ways of thinking. So it is good. Listen, but be respectful. But again, I don't know why. Maybe it's you want to start a debate, and maybe it can be done in certain situations and with certain people. But do not just assume that people on the street are gonna be like, oh yes, let's debate this. Let's debate the government's policies. It's like, no, do not do that. And obviously, don't ask them about your own country, because it's gonna be like, again, they're gonna do the same thing to you. They're gonna maybe disagree. You're like, no, because I live there, I know. So again, it's a whole thing. Best left avoided. Especially if you don't really, they're not your friends, or there's not that much, like, I don't know, there's not much rapport, like it's just strangers, you're just meeting them. Do not go there. And I do have to say something that actually surprised me is the small talk. I know that Europeans in general tend to be a little bit more reserved, and they're not going to be like, oh yes, hello, they're going to strike up conversations. But like the thing about maybe like in Paris, like people just will downright, like they'll just ignore you if you try to do small talk. I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy to me. Like, not even just a polite smile, like nod and smile, just a little like, yeah, and that's it. Like if you're trying to strike up a conversation and people do that, you usually know, okay, I should probably back off. This person doesn't want to talk, and that's it. But they'll just ignore you. I'm like, oh my god, that's so like, that would be like, okay, I know now that in Paris, people will absolutely like do not. Maybe that's why people think Parisians are rude. It's because they try to like strike up a conversation, do a little bit small talk, and people are just like they just ignore you, which is crazy. How do people like make friends then? I know that every person that you strike up like small talk with is gonna become a friend, but I don't know. Sometimes stuff happens, and people are, you're feeling social that day, and maybe, who knows? Maybe you're gonna meet a friend like that. I don't know. It happens. So it is kind of sad that, okay, so you're not gonna meet anyone. Yeah, I don't know. Especially I think for tourists, if you're in a new place, maybe you want to meet people and you want to speak to the locals. So it is like, that makes me a little bit sad that it's so frowned upon that if you're a tourist, you're not going to be able to like talk to locals if you don't really know, because again, you don't really know anyone because you're just in a new place and you're just visiting. It makes me a little sad, because then how would you go around like speaking with locals then, if small talk it's so frowned upon? I don't know. We'd love to know. But that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.